Alright, surprise, surprise. I'm out here visiting another plantation. And I thought I'd step away from the James River and see what else Virginia had to offer. I'm up in Leesburg, a few miles south of Leesburg at the OATLANDS Plantation. And it's a plantation that was built by Charles Carter. House was built in 1804. And Charles Carter is, I'm near Dulles Airport. And Charles Carter, he's the great grandson of Robert King Carter, and who was the biggest plantation owner and richest person in the country at the time. And it seems like every other plantation I visit is a descendant of his. Alright, like I was saying earlier, house was built in 1804 by George Carter, and he lived in the house until he died in 1846, and then the house was inherited by his widow, Elizabeth Carter, and she stayed here until the Civil War. When fighting broke out, she got word that there was a battle. A battle was imminent, so she fled the house, I guess just left it abandoned, and went to a nearby another plantation that they owned, and was left vacant for a couple years, and then eventually their son took it over. So the Carters owned the house until I want to say 1897, where it was sold to a guy from DC who actually never lived here. Can't think of his name. And then in 1903, he sold the house to the Eustaces, and they lived here until the 1960s. Like I say, when the daughters eventually gave the house over to the trust and moved down into those buildings down there. So, quick history lesson. All right, so here's the greenhouse, and it's the second oldest greenhouse in the country, built in 1810, and it's the oldest one in the South. Thought I'd see a bunch of glass. Oh, here we go. Yeah, and they've got it facing south to maximize the sunlight. Wonder if I can go in there. 10,000 steps. Okay, so down there you've got the inn I was telling you about that one of the Eustace daughter used to live in. There's some old trees. This is a ginkgo biloba. Isn't that some sort of brain supplement? It's a pretty gnarly tree, and a pretty cool log cabin down there. Alright, so they call this the bachelor's cottage, and it was originally a one-story building. It was a dairy house at first. They stored milk, butter, and just other food. And then once the Eustaces took over, they added the second floor and turned it into a guest house. And Morton Eustace used to stay here when he was home from Harvard with his friends. So that's where it got its name. Oh, that's a cool shot. Yeah, this building actually is Greek Revival architecture. It was originally built federal style. It was a brick building, and in the 1820s, this Greek Revival architecture became popular. So they did a renovation, and these two wings to the far right and the far left were added. And originally, the building, I guess, kind of in the middle to the right, was a stairwell. They had one on both sides. And for some reason, all these plantation homes have giant magnolia trees in the front yard. I'm not sure why. Maybe it symbolizes wealth. I don't know. And this is actually a man-made bluff here. He was telling me. So, and this property was given by the Eustace's daughter to the trust, I think, in 1962, I believe. And one of the daughters lives in a house down there. It's called Little Oatlands, I believe is what he called it. Another daughter lived down in the building to the right, which is now an inn. And her grandchildren actually still live in the house down there to the left. Tree. There's a third floor. A lot of rooms up here. Small office. And each room was equipped with a call button. Alright, so over here is the old smokehouse, and it was eventually converted into a children's playroom, and you can see they added windows. And then eventually the home was used as a boarding house, and some of the residents stayed here. Alright, so it looks like the inside of the smokehouse is a little bit of a slavery exhibit. I don't see where it says they exactly lived in this building, but anyway, Charles Carter owned 17 slaves when he built the house in 1804. And kind of ironic because his father, Richard Carter III, actually is famous for releasing over 500 slaves. And it was the biggest emancipation before the real emancipation. And yeah, Charles didn't agree with his father. And eventually there were 133 slaves that lived here in 1860, right before the Civil War. And also all of Charles's children at one time owned slaves. Okay, so just found out this is the former slave quarters back here. These two buildings to the right. And let's see, the two-story building was a laundry. And let's see, he told me also way that way to the right is a grist mill. They believe there were slave quarters there. Some stayed on the third floor in the house. And there are some more of these row houses down here to the left. So, all right, so I'm gonna walk around the gardens. Pretty impressive tree.